Robert E. Lee. And my mama is the one, Susan Lee. She went to be with the Lord in 2008, hardest funeral I ever preached. But she's the one that got me into my heritage, because she compiled a booklet on her Lee family. And in that booklet, on the intro, she put down, and it makes me cry every time I read it. She said, I want my heritage to be passed on to my son. And that heritage is my great aunt, my great uncles, my grandpa, my great-great-great, all the way back to Adam and Eve. And yes, some Lovelace did track us back to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve are my 141st great-grandpa and great-grandma. So yes, I believe the record of the Bible when it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, I have given out 3 sheets. I'll be calling your attention to some of those sheets tonight. Now, if for some reason you begin to feel like you're back in school, trust me, you may begin to feel like you're back in church. So I just ask that I have your attention tonight. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask me later. So tonight, I want to present to you a topic that I've presented several times, and it is entitled The Confederate Amendments. Now, if you ask the average American about the differences between the United States and the Confederate States Constitution, and if you get a response other than that of blank incredulity, you'll probably hear tell that the documents varied only because of slavery. Well, let me tell you something, guys. I am sick and tired of this slavery nonsense being shoved in my face merely because of that flag and because of my ancestors, all 65 plus Confederate ancestors. And I've had it up to here, and I'm not even that tall. No, the issue is not all about slavery. Yeah, maybe the politicians care a little bit about slavery because it was the economic basis of, not the South, of the United States. Of these United States. I'll touch more on that later. So anyway, all of this talk about race and etc., you know why we have it? It's because it is due to the head rot and the brainwashing we have in the United States propaganda, public school system. It is indoctrination. That's why all the little school children are being told, well, your great-great-great-grandpa was a terrorist. My grandpa Billy was not a terrorist. He didn't own slaves. My ancestors went for it because the blue-bellied, rotten, money-grubbing Yankees were down here trying to interfere with us. No offense to anybody who's a Yankee. By the way, a Yankee is somebody that tries to come down south and tell us how to run our business. A northerner? Hey, I'm married to a northerner. My wife was born in Michigan. Thank God she moved to Florida, and then she moved to the great state of South Carolina when she was about 6. So she got her back straight. But she told me that, and her dad, who lived in Michigan most of his life, they told me that the only time they ever talked about the Civil War was about maybe a little paragraph. My wife now calls it the war between the states, the war for Southern independence, the war to prevent Southern independence. And every once in a while she'll slip and call this blessed banner a rebel flag. I say, Confederate battle flag. Yes, sir, you got it right. All right, now, anyway, big round of applause. General Patrick Cleaver in 1864. Now, the office of prophet, by my understanding of the Bible, is closed. But this is what the great Irish Confederate general said in 1864. Every man should endeavor to understand the meaning of subjugation before it is too late. We can give but a faint idea when we say that it means the loss of all that we hold most sacred. Slaves and all other personal property, lands, homesteads, liberty, justice, safety, pride, and manhood. It means the history of this heroic struggle will be written by the enemy, that our youth will be trained by northern school teachers. We'll learn from northern school books their version of the war. We'll be impressed by the influences of history and education to regard our gallant dead as traitors and our main veterans as fit objects of derision. He hit it right on the head. And that is exactly what has happened. Go back 50 years, 60, 75 years, and you will find Confederate Memorial Day observances taking place. You will find little school children singing Dixie and going out to the graveyard and planting Confederate flags. And nobody's saying of Confederate veterans to preserve my heritage. You know, I told my church family, let me get over here. I told my church family a couple of services ago, and as a matter of fact, it was on September 11th. No extra charge, guys. I told them, I said, now let's sing this hymn, My Country 'Tis of Thee. And I told them, I said, I want y'all to go home and remember this. I said, it is still your country. If you want to pray, by God, you pray. If you want to shout Jesus' name, then shout and praise His holy name. Because it's still your country. But if we don't stand up for what's right, it's going to be their country one day. Just like our heritage, if we don't stand up for the truth, we ain't going to have no heritage left. We've been around for over 100 years, and may God bless our endeavor to make sure that the truth will still be preserved for future generations. And that's why I'm here tonight. Also because the commander asked me to. I stand here today, brethren, to tell you that I am happily a survivor of the U.S. public propaganda system. Sadly today, many are nothing but mindless zombies, because here there is no teaching, there is no critical thinking, there is merely indoctrination of the standard lie concerning history, America, and other subjects such as evolution. I stood up in 10th grade and I told my biology teacher, I am not here to be fed this hogwash. And he said, well, this is what I have to teach. I said, I don't care if that's what you have to teach me. I am a Christian and I don't have to listen to this bunk. So I went to the library and I read my Bible. Well, scores of little youngins were sitting there by taxpayer dollars listening to the lie of evolution. If you believe evolution, you believe you come from monkeys, that's your right. I believe I come from Adam, that's my right. You don't see eye to eye with me, you might be taller than me, I don't know. Now, September 17th, that just happened a few days ago, right? Anybody know what that day is on the calendar? Constitution Day. You know why? That day, 1789, the United States Constitution was ratified by the Congress. I want to ask you a question. Anybody here ever read the United States Constitution? Thank you. How about the Confederate States Constitution? Okay. Well, guys, guess what? That's excellent, because I remember in one camp, might have been last year, I asked that question. One man raised his hand that he had read the United States Constitution. I mean, we hear so many people stand up at tea parties and demonstrations and all these other things up in Congress to claim to preserve our rights. And I asked them, have you not even read the documents you're trying to preserve and defend? I mean, if I get up and I go to Congress and I say I'm fighting for our rights and I've never read the United States Constitution, you know what that'd be like? That'd be like me as a preacher trying to stand up and preach a sermon. I ain't never read the Bible. Ain't no logic to it. Well, ain't much logic up in Washington anyway, if I make sense. On September 17, 1862, the Battle of Sharpsburg. Anybody remember heard of the Battle of Sharpsburg? Anybody? Okay. See, hardly nobody knows it by the Southern Confederate name. How about this? Maybe you know it by the other name, the Battle of Antietam. You ever heard that name? Bloodiest day in the war between the states. You know why? Because there fell 22,717 men on that one day. Why? Because the rebels were fighting slavery. No, no, no. It goes back beyond that. It goes all the way back even to 1789. Guys, our founding fathers came to loggerheads because they could not agree over the Constitution, and there was compromise after compromise after compromise. Do you not remember what Benjamin Franklin told the woman? She said, Dr. Franklin, what kind of country have you given us? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. Now, a republic is a nation governed by law. A democracy is where majority rule, and we have digressed to a democracy. No more a republic. You say, I don't understand what you're saying, preacher. Let me give you an illustration. All right, let's go back to the Wild Wild West. We find a thief. He stole cattle. So we go out, the sheriff says, all right, I'm deputizing all of y'all. Let's go out, let's catch a thief. So they catch him. They say, he's guilty. Who votes here to hang him? And everybody votes yes. He says, who votes no? The thief says no. He says, the majority rule, let's go hang him. But the marshal comes in and says, whoa. Y'all can't hang this man. Well, why not? He's guilty. He has to have a trial. The law has to say he's guilty, not y'all. You see? He's governed by the rule of law, not by whatever everybody thinks is right. Because if that's the case, we never agree on anything. Well, that's the difference between a republic and a democracy. And when Woodrow Wilson said, we go to make the world safe for democracy, no, Mr. President. Not to make the world safe for democracy. We are not, let me get over here. We are not the world policeman, according to the Constitution. If you've read the thing, you know. Why did North and South hit their heads so hard on September 17, 1862, and over 22,000 men lose their lives? It's because of a difference of interpretation of the Constitution. That's why. But what were the two main factions that came out of Philadelphia? The Federalist, strong central government, and the Anti-Federalist, Mr. Jefferson. Right? Anybody remember their history? Do you not remember that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were very good friends, but when Mr. Adams became the president and Mr. Jefferson is vice president, they split ways. Why? Because Mr. Adams wanted a strong central government, Mr. Jefferson wanted the rights left to the people. As the 10th, the 9th, and 10th Amendment to the Constitution stipulated. Do you not realize that Rhode Island and North Carolina almost did not ratify the United States Constitution? Why? Because there was not a Bill of Rights that guaranteed the right of free speech, the guarantee of freedom of religion, freedom from religion if you so choose, and all these other rights. And the powers not reserved, the powers not delegated to the government, were reserved to the states, and inherent and implicit in that 9th and 10th Amendment was the right of succession. It was taught at West Point. Robert E. Lee, Ulysses S. Grant, Little Mac, George McClellan, all these guys, they all knew that. Even in 1848, Abraham Lincoln stood up as a representative and said, any people wishing to alter or abolish that system of government, they can so do so. Why? Because that's exactly what we did with the Declaration of Independence. We succeeded from the Kingdom of Great Britain. Oh, but wait a minute, all that changed. 1832, you can look on there on your charts there whenever we get to it. The Tariff of Abomination. South Carolina said, if you do this, we're going to leave the Union. We're going to nullify the law. And Andrew Jackson said, well, if y'all do that, I'm going to come down with troops and you're going to do it. And I'll hang my vice president, John C. Calhoun, myself. Maybe that was just Andrew Jackson, I'm not sure. But from the 1800s to the 1860s, there was an antebellum Cold War. North and South kept looking at each other at loggerheads. And what everybody tells you, it was about over slavery. It was not. That's what they say. They divide the state between free states and slave states. But when did slavery end? 1865. December 1865. North and South were all slave states. Some of the northern states passed anti-slavery laws, but what were they doing? They were being unconstitutional. Anyhow, I'll get more to that here in just a moment. Because if I don't, this is my introduction. You say, oh no, this is an introduction. How long are we going to be here? We'll just bear with it, grin and bear it, okay? Now, some people have asked me, preacher, is this a Christian nation? Is the United States a Christian nation? I tell them to answer. We used to be. Now we ain't. We used to be a Christian nation, but we're not anymore. And then some people who are interested in Confederate history like I am, they say, what about the Confederacy? Was the Confederacy a Christian nation? I say yes, because of the Constitution. All right, now there should be a paper that will have different articles and so forth. That's the boring paper. It looks boring. And you'll see, should be on the front, a statement that says the preamble. Now that's the preamble of the Confederate States Constitution. I want to take you down there and go through it. We, the people of the Confederate States, each state acting in its sovereign and independent character,